Hello, welcome to another episode of Supernatural on the Rocks. I am Emily.
And I'm Mandy.
And this is episode 4 covering season 4 of Supernatural.
Yay, we finally got here.
We did it. I would like for you to picture a barn in the middle of, I don't know, Kansas, I think. And what do you see?
Is this a hypothetical question to the listeners or me?
You.
A barn in the middle of Kansas. I mean, one specific thing comes to mind that I'd rather not acknowledge.
We have, in season 4 now, the arrival of the best character on Supernatural.
Yes.
Tied with the first best character on Supernatural, who is Dean Winchester. But we have...
I'm going to have to argue on that, because I think I like Cass more.
That's why they're tied with first.
Okay.
You're putting Cass above Dean?
I am, yeah.
I think Misha Collins would agree with you.
Yeah, I think.
Yes. Added to the cast now is Misha Collins, a.k.a. Castiel, angel person. Castiel, no last name.
Yes. It is a fantastic introduction to Castiel in the first episode, Lazarus Rising.
Really is. It is the best entrance I think a character gets on this show.
It's also, it's genuinely, I don't know, compared with, the parts of hell that we see from Dean that are actually, a bit scary, because, Dean in hell, that's a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a really well done introduction to Cass.
It is. So season 4 opens with Dean waking up in a grave. If you have forgotten the end of season 3, because it's been 6 years, Dean was taken to hell at the end of his deal with Crossroads Demon to save Sam. And now he has miraculously awakened in a pine box in a grave, which is probably most people's nightmare.
It's definitely a nightmare scenario.
Mm-hmm. Nightmare scenario. Although those teeth were looking pretty white for being in a grave.
That's true. Well, I guess maybe the I don't know, angelic touch has a whitening effect.
It's a nice pearly white, pearly gates, pearly white teeth. So poor Dean has to literally dig himself out of his own grave. I do like the drama that this is. I guess Castiel could have hauled his ass out of hell and also out of his grave, but he chose not to.
I mean, it is some nice poetic effect.
It is.
It also kind of drives home that Castiel is not supposed to and does not give much of a shit about humans at this point.
No, he does not.
The empathy factor is not really there, but we'll get, more into that the more we learn about Cass.
Yes.
And, all of his friends.
All of his angel dick friends.
Yes.
So we are introduced to Dean Winchester's abs and also the handprint brand on his shoulder. And I think that's just an important piece to point out this early on in the season and this episode of the podcast.
And the series in general, because that handprint is one of the...
It's a hallmark. It's a statement piece.
That's a good word for it. It's a hallmark.
It means a lot to the show. It means a lot to the fandom. And it means a lot to their relationship as whatever you would like to describe it as going forward from here.
Yeah.
So throughout this episode, Dean encounters a number of bizarre occurrences, high-pitched noises, glass shattering, static on a TV. If you are too young to know what a TV looks like when there is static, you can look it up. And he will not quite know what this is until the end of the episode. Meanwhile, Sam has run off to fight Lilith.
Because Lilith is definitely still around, since this season is sort of a continuation of the aborted writers' strike storyline from before.
Yes. So season 3 ended somewhat abruptly, and season 4 picks up some of the threads that were left hanging with the writer's strike, namely that Lilith is still out there and needs killing.
Yep.
So we're told. What do we know?
Or does she? I mean,
What do we know? We just have to believe Sam, Dean, and Bobby that demons are bad.
Yeah.
They haven't really offered any proof, have they?
I don't think so.
I mean, maybe the dead bodies are
Yeah.
proof.
Speaking of Bobby, like, we do get some Bobby in this episode.
We do. Good old Bobby.
Threatening Dean.
Yes.
You know,
As you
that's what
do.
you do when you're Bobby and someone comes back to life.
Dean's been dead for 4 months and then shows up at Bobby's front door looking like he hasn't gone through hell, literally. So he does have to prove himself via silver, rock salt, holy water, some other
Yeah,
stuff.
the
The
Shrek.
usual. I mean, that's kind of how I test people in the days of COVID now.
Oh, that's true.
It's,
Yeah.
mask, vaccine, holy water. So,
I mean, gotta cover all the bases.
Gotta just cover the bases now.
Yeah.
So everyone thinks that that a demon has set Dean loose from hell, because how else would he have gotten free? Which is not a wrong thing to think in this world.
That's
But
true.
at the same time, they have escaped death a number of times already. So I'm not sure why they're completely surprised by it.
Quite an abnormal number of times. At this point, you'd think they'd be kind of realizing, hey, nothing really sticks with us.
Yeah, death is only the beginning. I did just watch The Mummy, which is why that stuck in my mind. I try to watch The Mummy a couple times a year.
I haven't seen that movie in a very long time.
Oh, get on it. Okay, pause. We're gonna pause.
Yeah.
Mandy's gonna watch The
2 hour
Mummy.
break.
Just quick 2-hour break, everyone.
Yeah. I mean,
Grab some
I
snacks.
am into the Brendan Fraser appreciation, so
Daily.
yeah.
So Dean tells everyone he doesn't remember what happened in hell, but he's a liar and clearly remembers absolutely everything, which is not great. I wouldn't say that Dean Winchester's mental health is aces on a good day.
No.
And
He's got a few issues.
he's got
a little bit of therapy. Maybe just like a weekly, daily appointment.
I think he could start daily and then maybe bump it down to a weekly once he's gotten a grip on all of his problems. He could work on some self-care and some self-love.
Yeah. One of the essays I did reading to like prepare for recording was about Dean's not mental health, but coping skills, that basically framed the way they treat him coming from hell as like his mind going into the cope or die mindset. Like, if we address all of this, we're just gonna die. So in order to cope, we're just gonna pretend it didn't happen.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
I can kind of see it. I mean, not that he doesn't have all the PTSD, but approaching like the first few episodes with a mindset that he's just like, well, I will simply perish if I stop to process.
Yes.
Does make a little bit of sense to me.
It does. It very much does. If I think about this for even a minute, I will die. Therefore, I'm not going to think about it at all.
And I will leave a link to that essay post in the show notes, because it said a lot more things, a lot more eloquently than that. Yeah. But that was my summary.
That is an excellent point. Yep. Dean Winchester in a nutshell.
We also get to meet another recurring character in this episode, Pamela.
The psychic.
And
this
old
poor
friend
woman.
Bobby. Yeah, really. She's definitely on the list of women that deserved better in Supernatural.
Yeah, the very long list.
Incredibly long list. I mean, in this episode alone, she loses her eyes.
Castiel did not need to do this to her.
He really didn't. I mean, he was not a people person to begin with.
No. No.
But this proves how much better his social skills got.
They did.
But really,
she's just trying to get a sneak peek at him, and he had to burn her eyes out of her head.
I mean, you can learn to deal with your problems with less aggression, perhaps, Castiel. It's not even aggression, just like brutality.
Just straight brutality. Yeah, he couldn't rein that in a little bit. And he's got a body. He already has a vessel. He could have held that in a little bit. It's just rude. I don't see the rest of us out there smiting people.
I mean,
I would that I could, though.
Yeah.
So later, Sneaky Sam sneaks out of the motel that one of the many motels that they're staying at, because he's out there exercising demons with just his special children powers, which he's
Because
not
that's
supposed to be
normal.
doing.
That's natural. That's a thing that,
Totally normal and natural.
yeah.
Hmm. Surprise, our good friend Ruby's not dead, which we all assumed that she was during season 3. She's not dead, she's just in a new body. That body happens to belong to Jared Padalecki's upcoming wife,
Yes.
which I think is adorable. Like, that's one way to meet your future spouse, I
I
suppose, is to
Yeah. Yeah.
star in a TV show with them. So, I
I
mean,
mean,
good
it
for
is cute.
you.
I know next to nothing about her as a person, but, like,
Hmm. I
that's
mean, I guess it worked
very
out for those
cute.
crazy kids.
Yeah. Considering it's, God, I was gonna say 10 years later, but that's not right.
Nope, that is not right at all.
12 years later?
Hmm. Yep. So, at the very, very beginning of season 4, we've got Sam making some interesting decisions of who he is hanging out with and what he is doing and who he is confiding in, with whom he is confiding in.
Mm,
And it's not Dean.
yep. Which is another theme of the season, like, Sam and Dean just really not being on the same page.
Hmm. They're not synced.
Sometimes not through their fault, like,
Hmm.
not through the fault of their own, but usually because they're stubborn assholes.
Right. Yes. Yes. Usually they're just being dicks.
Yeah.
I think the lack of male communication is really a problem in this season,
Yes.
and probably just life in general. But we do get to end this episode and the beginning of season 4 with the best scene in the entire series, and that is
Oh.
with Dean and Bobby going to a barn,
Oh, yes.
and get a little rumbling, the lights start flickering,
Yep.
and motherfucking angel of the Lord Castiel shows up with his big
It's
ol'
just
wings.
it's just so nicely done.
It really is. I think Misha Collins' cheekbones really help.
Yeah. They did add something to it.
Really, I think the blue eyes really kind of add an aura, but nearly setting his hair on fire with those sparks also really works too. But the whole thing is so well done. I think stabbing your future husband upon
Yeah.
first meeting is like a bold move.
But you cannot argue with the results.
No, it takes a while to come
Yeah.
around, but leaves
Might
an
have set him back a
impression.
little.
First impressions go, I think it's tops. So this is Castiel, angel of the Lord,
Yep.
telling Dean Winchester that yes, there are angels.
And that he deserves to be saved.
Yeah, that's a great line.
It really is.
Cass has got some good lines
He
in the
he
show.
does. From this episode, I'm the one that gripped you tight and raised you from perdition. Like,
Perfect.
that's
Canon
yes.
top 10 lines in the show.
Yep.
This is your problem, Dean. You have no faith. Amazing. The gravelly voice thing that ruined Misha's vocal cords for the rest of his life. Great.
I like, genuinely do not think he thought he would be playing that role for 12
Nope.
more years when he started that.
Nope. Well, he only was on for 6 episodes,
Yeah.
and then he was too pretty to let go of, which I understand.
Yeah.
If I was that good looking, I certainly wouldn't go anywhere. So now we have a new character to the mix who is certainly going to put a wrench in Sam and Dean's plans.
Yep.
And not only put a wrench in their plans, but certainly going to fuck up their lives for a very long time.
Quite a while.
Yep. But it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. So that's the whole season, right? Cass shows up.
Sounds
Everything
about
goes
right.
really well.
Yeah.
Nothing bad happens at all.
He raises Dean and then they live.
Yeah. I think that sounds right. So we were contemplating how to run this season because, well, not of the show, of the podcast. The season already happened. But this season actually has a lot more plot-wise and a lot more to do thematically than the last season did.
It does. Yeah. It has a lot of themes that run through
Mhm.
oh my God, I can't think of the word. What was the arc?
The arc.
Episode.
The myth
Yeah,
arc.
the myth arc. That's what I was trying to think of. And not that it doesn't have any Monster of the Week episodes, but
Hmm.
it has less.
Yep. So the overarching myth arc of season 4 is that um there are 66 seals holding in Lucifer, and Lilith is trying to, well, people 66 seals are being broken by Lilith and her buddies in
Yes.
order to release Lucifer from his cage. And that is the overarching uh, plot of the season.
Yeah. And then within that, we have the angels who are trying to stop it from happening. And then the
Allegedly.
demons. Yeah. The demons that, are rooting for Lilith.
Hmm.
And then, like, the subsects among that. Which demons are good? Which angels are bad?
Hmm. Dean apparently is being tapped as the one who can stop the apocalypse, because now we have an apocalypse on our hands
Yep.
because there's nothing. The show really is in that um, problem of having to ratchet up the stakes season by
Yeah.
season. So now we're at an apocalypse.
Which they really like. They went about that so quickly throughout the seasons.
They really did. We're only on season.
You
Well,
guys could have paced that out a little better.
so I did find a quote from what's his face, and I wrote it down because I knew I was gonna forget. And it is from a Huffington Post article from July 2008 from Comic-Con, and
Hmm.
it's a Q&A from one of the panels. And someone asked Eric Kripke if it was still his plan to only run the show for 5 seasons, and he said yes, adding that he wanted to avoid jumping the shark, and he wanted to leave the audience satisfied rather than have the show slip into mediocrity.
Oh,
So-
oh, Eric. Oh, friend.
oh, buddy.
I
So
mean, you
that would
tried.
have been
Yeah,
about this time. So I guess at that point, an apocalypse felt right.
yeah. I will give him that. Like, if this was supposed to be the penultimate season,
Yeah.
okay,
And
because
like
it's
you release Lucifer and like that's your final season.
yeah. I was gonna
All
say it's
right.
not as though it wraps up tidily.
Mhm, exactly.
So, which we'll get there, but
Yeah.
yeah,
If
it
that
would
was
have
the
made a good
plan.
lead-in.
Yeah.
Made a good lead into a final season.
Exactly. Yeah. But unfortunately for that plan, not unfortunately for us as viewers getting
Yeah,
15 seasons, 3 times as much, um, it did make a mess of the stake problem.
yeah.
So
Kind of
that
hurt their continuity a little bit too,
it
because
did.
this is one of those shows where it's like an entire season of this thing can't happen, this thing can't happen. Cut 10 years and that thing that can't happen is like a casual everyday
Event.
occurrence
Yeah.
in their lives.
Yeah. Yeah, these the breaking of these 66 seals are,
Yeah,
the worst things that can happen, and later it's just like, oh yeah, that's a
yeah.
Tuesday hunt for the Winchesters. Like, oh, all right. So yeah, and another piece of this is if there are angels, now we're dealing with the thought that there is probably a god,
Yep.
a singular monotheistic Christian god to go with angels, because you couldn't have that conversation about
No,
what kind of god.
not on a prime time viewing network.
Nope, not on this show. So yeah, we've got seals and Lilith and Lucifer off in the distance. Um, Dean being tapped to end the apocalypse, will stop the apocalypse, and Sam, um,
Sam with his
uh,
demon side chick.
his side hustle.
Which, I shouldn't reduce her to that. She's,
Well, she's a fully
she's,
realized demon woman.
yeah, I was gonna say, it's just the show reduces her to
The
that.
show does reduce her to that. Yeah.
Mostly.
Hmm.
Mostly. Yeah.
Yep. Um, there is still room in this season for Monster of the Week episodes, and one of
Yes.
those is the third episode, In the Beginning, which is a time travel episode. And Dean gets his butt transported back by Cass to Lawrence, Kansas, 1973, where he runs into the beautiful Matt Cohen playing a young John Winchester.
Which, I'm not the biggest fan of John at all, but
Mm-mm.
I thought this episode was pretty interesting.
Yes. Yes. I mean, I I have to say this because it's true. I
Mhm.
hate time travel.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I will fight people about it. Well, I won't fight people about it. I'll just say things like I hate time travel and then let other people spend 5 minutes trying to explain why they like time travel and then just go, "Uh-huh," and walk away
Yeah.
because it doesn't make any sense to me. Things like if Dean is the one who gets John to buy the Impala, if Dean never goes back in time, who gets John to buy the Impala?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Basically, like, continuity errors everywhere.
yeah. Like, so then doesn't Dean always go back in time? Like, where does the loop begin? Like, well, it's a loop and then there's an A. Like, I don't. So then Cass always sends Dean back? Like, what the fuck is. I hate time travel.
It is
So
very.
it is very confusing and it always messes up the timeline. So stop it. And you don't get to just fix problems in your story by doing time travel. Anyway,
I mean, they try.
you try. But what we well, they do try here.
Yeah.
What's happening here is someone is trying to get Dean to fix the timeline by sending him back in time to prevent. First off, Matt Cohen is A+ casting for young John Winchester.
Yeah, he really is.
He's
He definitely
yeah,
nails the whole look.
yes. We also meet a young Mary Campbell who is turns out to be the one who is the badass hunter in the family.
Which props. I
Yeah.
mean,
Bit of retconning, but I dig it.
yeah.
I like it. It helps in later seasons when we re-meet Mary.
Yeah. Which I haven't seen. I mean, I don't think I've seen any of those episodes.
Oh, fun.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I know what happens because, fan fiction.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't think I've seen the actual episode.
Okay. We also meet Grandpa Samuel Campbell, aka Mitch Pileggi,
Oh, what a
aka
familiar
a
face.
very familiar face, assistant director Walter Skinner of
Yes.
X-Files fame.
I appreciate this show not forgetting where it came from. Literally in some cases.
Yep. Yep. It's just a full X-Files nod.
Yep.
It's all I don't know. So the grandparents are Samuel and Deanna, aka
Yeah.
Sam and Dean. Did the Winchester side not get any naming rights for the grandkids?
That's funny. Mary was just like, nope, sorry.
Like, nope, they're
You
mine. Sorry.
contributed one thing to this and your part's over.
Yeah. It's just like, Samuel and Deanna. Interesting.
Yeah.
I just thought that was funny. So the case that Dean runs into here is that people have been selling, or someone has been selling their soul. People have been selling their soul to a demon without realizing it, and it's like the 10-year demon deal. And it turns out it's our old buddy Yellow Eyes, who's been ruining families for decades.
Yep. I mean, he's really good at it, so at least he found his,
His
his
passion,
little, yeah.
his calling in life.
Yeah.
Azazel's TikTok would be just full of motivational quotes.
Yeah.
You too can do it. So Dean uses John's journal, which again is a little like, if he's using the journal, and wouldn't he then have that knowledge throughout his life because he carries the memories? And I don't actually understand. Anyway, there's a really sad moment that Dean tells his mother, not to get out of bed on November 2nd, 1983.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
so
Dean.
so all of this is really to try to prevent Azazel from making a deal with Mary to bring John Winchester back after he is killed during a fight with the demons. And this is why Azazel is allowed into the Winchester's house to fuck up Sam in the future. And
I
Dean
mean,
can't prevent it.
it does prove that making deals you didn't really think through
Mhm.
because someone you love is in danger is definitely a family tradition.
It's a family tradition.
Yeah.
Um, Turns out you can't change the timeline, at least
Mm.
in this instance. And then Cass shows up to save Dean and take him out of this timeline. I'm assuming he also wipes Mary's memory
Surely,
of
because
all of
otherwise,
this. Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, we forgot. Azazel has been like putting ideal parents together to create perfect vessels for his like special children, which is why Sam is the way he is. So Mary had to fuck John to make Sam.
I mean,
It's gross.
you could have just like invented Tinder
Right.
and have your fun.
Swipe right for demon babies.
Yeah.
Um
Trying to find your ideal vessel creation mate.
yeah. It's gross. Ugh. So Cass pulls him out of this. Dean's all pissed off that he couldn't stop it, and Cass has to admit that Dean couldn't stop it. And the point of all of this was to show Dean the truth of what happened and to warn Dean that he needs to stop Sam from going down his path, or the angels will.
Yeah.
So
Which, I mean,
I don't know, I would also like
I
them to stop Sam.
yeah,
It's getting
I
annoying.
appreciate the dedication they went through,
Hmm.
but also like,
Couldn't he have also just like showed him a little movie?
yeah, it seemed a bit involved for the end result of, well, we just wanted to Ghost of Christmas Past
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. It really was a Ghost of Christmas Past,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, exactly. He could have just said, "Hey, this is what happened."
I mean, like, I honestly like would have equally appreciated them just going, here's a random episode that is entirely a flashback.
Yeah. Mhm.
Wouldn't or wouldn't have shown us Dean finding out the truth, but like
Mhm.
I appreciate the badass Mary.
Oh yeah. Mhm.
So I'm glad we got to see that, but the reasoning for it playing out with Dean there felt a little weak.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Little filler. All filler,
A
no
little
killer.
bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, a way to keep involving John Winchester, which they do. I
Yes.
mean, I get he's their dad. Like, obviously, he has an important influence on the events,
Mhm.
but
Yep.
oh, they will shoehorn him in anytime they can.
Anytime, any place.
This is not the not the last John Winchester backstory episode that we get this season.
Nope. No, it's not. They're just keeping him on the back burner.
All
Yeah.
right, so we go from there to another monster of the week.
Yes.
That-
I
mhm.
yes. No, I was gonna say, without going too much into this episode, I think the point of this episode was really about Sam and his powers and where he was going down a path of becoming a monster. We got a Rougarou, which I think is the first time we hear about them, which is a creature that starts out as a human but becomes a flesh-eating monster, and you're infected but you don't know what's happening to you. And can you see how this is an allegory for Sam? Do we see what's happening here? So Dean catches Sam ganking a demon, which is just a word that's
Yeah.
like so supernaturally like anytime. I've never heard
Yeah.
anyone else on earth use the word gank.
No.
Um, but he catches him using his little mind powers and realizes that Ruby's still helping him or harming him, depending on what side you're
Yeah.
on. He punches Sam. That's a big deal, and he does tell
Mhm.
Sam that he's going down a road that will turn him into a monster, and says, "If I didn't know you, I would want to hunt you."
Harsh words,
Bold
but
statement.
not untrue.
No, not untrue. So we're only a few episodes into the season and really leaning into this like
Yeah.
growing separation between the brothers.
Like they really wanted to drive that point home because I mean
Yeah.
it's not just like hinted at, it's like explicitly a part of multiple episodes.
Yes.
Like they are not getting along.
Nope. not getting along. They're not on the same page. Dean straight up threatening to kill him. It's kind of a big deal. It's kind of a big deal for them. Sam tells Dean that he's done with his powers at this point, but I think we all know that that's not
Yeah.
the case. And then we kind of just keep rolling along into another Monster of the Week episode, but honestly, a better Monster of the Week episode.
I do want to say important part about Metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
Episode 4. It is the first time Dean refers to Castiel by the nickname Cass.
Be still my heart.
Yes.
Yay.
Sorry, couldn't let us move on without
that's so important.
Marking that occasion.
That's so valid.
Yes.
Isn't that what the kids say?
You are correct. We move on to a better Monster of the Week episode.
Do we just need to take a whole moment on Cass?
Maybe.
Just a moment of silence? All right.
Cass
so good.
with 2 S's.
No. Why would who would even like how does not even how does it even work? Castiel has 1 S. Why would you you never add extra letters. I watch it with subtitles too because and like every time I see it I just think you guys can't spell.
Why? At what point do they stop that? Do you like
never
remember all
never they never do. It's in the very last it's in the script too. Like the actual scripts say Cass with 2 S's.
How bold of them to be so unapologetically wrong.
I know. Like, wait, you're terrible.
Yeah, no, I reject that, but nice try.
And I think it's another one of those like Ryan Murphy spite things where they know that every single piece of fan fiction, every single piece of online meta, every tweet on Earth, including the actors.
Yeah. Because I've seen Jensen and Misha both spell it with 1 S.
Yes, everybody spells it with 1 S. So they know how people are spelling it, how it should be spelled. And they're still like, no, it's 2 S's. And you're like, go fuck yourself.
Yes.
Just sit there in your wrongness.
All right.
Anyway, that's directed at you, Eric Cricky.
Yes. Monster movie, an episode that I enjoyed as much as when I watched it as The X-Files.
Yes. Yes. This episode first came out in the 90s. It was called Postmodern Prometheus, and it was an X-Files episode.
Yep. But, I can't entirely fault them for recreating the classics, because, as I watched it, I was like, well, it's a good one. I'm still enjoying it.
And this is one of those episodes that has absolutely nothing to do with the series. Like, you could take this right out, and it wouldn't matter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wouldn't matter to the show at all.
Would not affect anything.
Yeah. I think the only bit of continuity that it has is this is where Dean says that he's come out of hell fully healed with like no scars and no old wounds, and he calls himself rehymenated.
Oh, all right.
Yep.
I don't know how I forgot that line, but yeah.
I can't forget things like that. It's so gross that I can't forget. But yeah, this is just a fun episode where they're investigating murders at an Oktoberfest that all look like monster deaths. It's in black and white, and it's amazing.
It's basically just like full of reference to.
Yeah.
I mean, it has references to literally the X-Files.
Mm-hmm.
It's basing himself off of these characters.
Yep.
So it's a really fun one to watch if you happen to like old movies.
Mm-hmm.
Or The Big Lebowski, which Dean quotes randomly.
Yeah. The big bad here, who turns out to be a shapeshifter, right? Yeah. Is just sometimes he wants to be a Dracula and sometimes wants to be a classic werewolf, monster movie werewolf and a mummy.
It just has some like great lines that don't contribute. I mean, obviously don't contribute to like the bigger picture of Supernatural, but the actor, what was the actor's name? I have the page up. Anyway, the like 'twas beauty that killed the beast at the end. It made campy Supernatural is still like one of my favorite things.
Yep. Plus the lederhosen.
Yes. Which, fun fact, Jared said that this was his favorite episode Because you get to see Jensen in lederhosen.
That's fair.
Like, that was his reasoning.
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
He looked good in the lederhosen.
I mean, it's a season for Jensen showing off, I guess. I mean, we
He
had the
does.
abs, and now we have like the thighs and those lederhosen.
You know, this is somewhat off topic, but appreciate and also hate that Jensen Ackles at some point in Supernatural managed to say, "Hey, I'm not going to take my shirt off anymore."
Yeah.
And
Huh.
I get it as an actor, and I also hate it because women are never afforded the same power on a set.
It's true.
And like, good for you, buddy, for putting that in the paperwork or in a clause or like whatever you did as a producer on the show at some point and as second on the call sheet to say, I don't want to take my shirt off and do sex scenes because apparently my character has no sexual interest in women anymore.
Yeah.
But
Wonder why. Surely
wonder
there's
why
no
that
deeper
happened.
reason there.
None at all. So like these it's only in these earlier seasons that he ever takes his shirt off. But at the same time, like how come women don't get to do that too?
Yeah.
So it's like it's a pro and a con. So yeah. So the Monster Mash episode
Mm.
goes right into another Monster of the Week episode and another uh Jensen having a good time on set episode with
See,
yellow fever. Uh
yeah.
and it's also I mean this does have some work on the main plot of the series. It's mostly about the Eye of the Tiger Impala scene.
Yeah.
Um uh Dean gets infected by a ghost disease while investigating the mysterious deaths of people who have like dropped dead in the middle of the night. Um this is Dean's second heart attack.
Yeah, it is. I made a note about that too. Like, Dean, buddy,
Mhm.
just make some regular cardiologist appointments,
Yeah.
please.
Which if he came out of hell clean and like all healthy to go, then
Yeah.
his newly minted heart that Cass so lovingly put back together,
Yeah.
uh, now he's had a heart attack again. Like Cass can't do that work a second time.
Just imagining Cass being like, look,
I
you
just
have to be
rebuilt
more
that.
careful. I can't
Yeah.
save you every time.
I can't keep doing this. So then, the clock is ticking on. Apparently, I can't remember what the time frame is, but when you get this ghost sickness, you only have so long to live
Mhm.
before it kills you. But Dean sees Lilith, and it's revealed that he did not spend 4 months in hell. This is revealed that he actually spent 40 years of time in hell. So that's a big bummer.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, goes back to that whole cope or die
Yep.
theory.
Yep.
Like, 40 years in hell and knowing like things we find out later in the season about what he did there. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, that's a lot of shit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot of shit. I think maybe therapy is like not enough. I feel like Cass
Yeah.
probably could have done some work on the mental health aspect of this rebuilding. Raised you up from perdition, also gave you some coping mechanisms. Put the body back together, didn't do any work on the soul.
Yeah. Could
You
have at
know?
least hooked him up with like a Zoloft
Oh,
prescription or
some
something.
Xan,
Be like,
something.
put you back together. Here, you're gonna need this.
Yeah, a subscription to the Calm app,
Yeah. Yeah.
some BetterHelp, I don't know, something. At least he could take that on the road with him,
Yeah. True.
you know?
Instead, we get him, buying busty Asian babes and
God, that's the worst.
drinking too much.
Ugh. At least he's
Because
got
that's
a
how,
fresh liver to start with.
yeah, true. Though I think over the course of the series, he takes care of that pretty well.
Oh, yeah. That's a good question, though. Like, you build up a tolerance to alcohol. So imagine he comes out of hell, he takes his first shot of whiskey, and he is down.
I, I hope someone's written that.
This is
That's
like
like
a 28-year-old Dean Winchester who's never had a drink before.
prime, like, fic material
Yeah.
right there.
Although, then, what's his metabolism like? Like, maybe he could just eat burgers all over again and not have heartburn.
I'm jealous of that.
Yeah, because I'm a big
The
fan of,
drinking I
like,
don't care as
thick.
much about,
Yeah,
but
maybe we have to rate it.
I want to be able to eat burgers without
Yeah.
pain. We have some more like sledgehammer hints that Dean is afraid of Sam turning into yellow eyes.
Mm-hmm.
He sees, the eyes flashing.
Yes. Yes, he does. We also get to meet a new angel, a specialist angel.
Oh yes, what a
Uri
fun one too.
and a fun one, Uriel. Um, it is Halloween, and we have we are back to the seven seals, the 66 seals, and this is Cass wants Dean to stop the raising of Samhain, which I am sure we are all mispronouncing, but I'm not gonna attempt it.
Yeah.
Um, so the raising of Samhain is one of the 66 seals, so you have to stop it to prevent the breaking of the seal. It's a little whatever. Um I did love just Chas. I can't talk anymore. Cass hanging out in their room, just
Yeah.
like he belongs there because he does. Um Uriel is he's a bit harsher than
A lot.
Cass, I think.
Whereas
He
Cass is like apathetic to humanity,
mhm.
Uriel is like,
Uriel just wants to kill them all.
yeah, vitriolic toward
Yes.
humanity.
Yeah, so there's a witch in town who is trying to raise Samhain. Uriel just wants to destroy the whole goddamn town to kill the witch because God has ordered it, and what angels do is follow orders. Cass, on the other hand, is going to allow Dean to change their plans because he is already in love with Dean. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
because that's not what happened. It is though. He is already breaking heaven's orders for Dean Winchester though, and I think what is this episode 7? Like
yeah.
that's a lot. Like for good soldier Castiel.
Like he has already subconsciously chosen his side.
Yeah, he did real quick. So that's pretty impressive. If you're Dean Winchester to think that an angel has already broken the word of God for you, personally, I would if someone did that for me, I'd be like, damn, I'm good.
Yep.
Um, but unfortunately, they really suck at protecting the seals, which is the theme of this season. Because Sam Hain rises, the seal is broken, and all sorts of creatures are going to show up and converge on this town. Sam uses his demon blood powers.
Again, we have Sam and Cass meeting for the first
Mhm.
time. And Uriel, which Uriel is technically the angel of purification.
Okay. That
Like,
makes
that is,
sense.
yeah, biblically, that's who like Uriel
Mm,
is.
okay.
And he also, this confused me. Like, look, I went to church for quite a few years. Yeah, Uriel's actually an archangel in
Hmm.
actual biblical lore. That they completely just decided to, revise that in
Yeah.
this season because he's definitely not an archangel.
No.
Or for the context of what the show tells you an archangel is.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, oh, especially later when they talk about
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm. All right.
Also, this is a Halloween episode, and I'm gonna be a nerd for just a second.
Oh, only now?
Because- yeah, yeah,
We're only
just
nerds now.
yeah, one of the deaths in the episode is based off of one of Michael Myers' killings in Halloween.
Nice.
Yeah, the one bobbing for apples and being
Ah,
scalded to death. Yeah, that was in I think the second Halloween.
okay. Love it. You got to get the nerds in there.
Yep.
Um, well, this episode ends with a classic Dean and Cass talk, which gets to be pretty common that a bunch of
Yeah.
stuff happens in an episode, and then at the end, Dean and Cass have a talk to wrap things up for us.
It's basically their version of pillow talk.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Sure is.
Pillow talk / exposition.
Yep. Cass reveals that the true orders were not to stop the summoning of Samhain, but to do whatever Dean told them to do. And it was actually just a test to see how Dean would perform under battlefield conditions.
Of course, because
That makes sense.
everyone's going to react well to being tested using the actual lives of real people.
Real people in a town who have no idea what's going on. Yeah. Dean obviously voted to save the town like a human. And Cass revealed that he was praying that he would choose to save the town because Cass is not a total dick.
Just a little bit of it. And
And
he gets
he
better.
he gets better. He reveals that he has questions and doubts. So again, very early on in the season, we get Cass as an angel who is not simply a mindless soldier, which will not work out well for him. We also in this season meet Anna, who is a girl, a woman in a psych ward who allegedly can hear angels. Um, she knows everything. She knows about the apocalypse. She knows about Lilith, the 66 seals, freeing Lucifer, um, everything. Uh, and a side note here is we get to see Sam and Dean hustling pool for cash, which
Yes,
I love.
that was a really nice touch
Yes.
of, I don't know, realism
Realism.
slash
Yes.
kind of throwback.
Mm-hmm. And
Because for most of this season, we don't know how they're actually getting by.
yeah, exactly. And I'm so mad we start to lose a lot of that, of that they're broke ass motherfuckers.
Yes.
Like they are on the run from so many cops and so many FBI agents, some of whom are dead, and they have to hustle money to survive because they don't yet have magic credit cards and a bunker. Like they got to make money somehow. So I love them having to actually earn money at some point.
But yeah, Anna, I like how they introduce her because we
Mhm.
find out between like this episode and the next one
Mhm.
that she was an angel,
Yes. Yep.
and
Anna.
that it's kind of why demons are after her and angels are after her, and Dean fucks her for some reason
Yeah.
because he's
Yeah.
Dean.
Because he's
Don't
Dean.
really think that needed to happen, but
Mm-mm.
um, but yeah, we kind of have Anna being the voice of there is another way when it comes to being an angel.
Yes. Yes. Well, now we have like this dichotomy of Sam and the demon Ruby and and Dean with his like one-time angel bone.
Well, it's kind of interesting because like with Ruby, Sam has both his confidant and person he bones.
Mhm.
Dean has his angel confidant, and then
Yes.
also apparently has to randomly have sex with a different angel. Can't just be the same one.
Can't be the same one. Yeah.
Yes.
That actually stuff like that will happen other times. Someone pointed out
Yeah.
very rightly in the finale, or well, close to the finale. I guess it was
Mhm.
the season 15 episode 20 where Charlie loses her girlfriend and gets sad. Sam loses his girlfriend and gets sad, and then Castiel goes away. Like, oh, okay, we
Yeah.
we see the parallels here. Like,
Yeah.
let's not be okay. Anyway, so yes, so we have Anna, who is an angel. Um, we're really gearing up here for like an angels versus demon showdown.
We
Um,
are, though before that, we get some angel versus angel showdowns.
this is true. This is true.
Because we have like the angels are after Anna,
Mhm.
and the demons are. We have like Ruby is the like weird in between. We don't really know her motives
Mhm.
except Sam.
Except Sam.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, there's an interesting conversation that Dean has with Anna about why she fell,
Mm.
and that only 4 angels have seen God's face and that you have to take God on faith, and this conversation about man versus angels, and that what do you feel versus what you can see, and basically Anna and Deem are the same person.
Yeah.
You're out on the road, you're lonely, and you're waiting from orders from like an unknowable invisible father.
Yep.
And like I guess a connection between them is not impossible.
It's
I
not, but it
I
is frustrating that Dean can't have a connection with a woman that
yes.
he doesn't immediately bang.
Yes. I did not appreciate Anna putting her hand on the handprint.
Yeah.
I was
I
like,
kind of wanted to slap it away.
I know. It was like, I'm
No
a
touching.
viewer, and I was like, hey now, that's not for you. Cass is gonna know that you did that. You're all like angel wired together. Like, I don't appreciate this shit. And even there, like Uriel in a dream is all up in Dean's face telling him that Cass has a weakness and that it's him.
Yes.
It's like
Oh,
he
that's such a
likes
good
you.
line.
And you're like,
Like,
what the fuck is already going on in this show?
yeah.
We're not even halfway through the 4th season. Cass has been in like 3 episodes, maybe. And another angel is like, he has a weakness. He likes you. Like,
Oh,
fuck.
I just need that sound clip compared to like Cass's last episode.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And like the camera panned to Cass when Anna kissed Dean.
Yeah.
And like you do that when you're trying to show a jealous person. Like that's how filmmaking works.
Yep.
What the fuck?
Like, someone knew what they were doing. Was it a rogue cameraman?
Maybe somebody was there like, hey guys, watch this.
Yeah.
Hey, Misha looks sad.
He's so good at that.
He really is.
He
So
does
his
it at
eyes.
just the right moments too.
Mm-hmm. He does. He does.
Right. So what episode are we up to now?
But this is
Oh,
also Dean has to admit now what hell was like for him.
Oh yes. Yeah. That's
And
the
that
reveal there.
yes, we've now it's taken him bits and pieces here. There's like, oh, it's not 4 months, it was 40 years. And then he was like, oh, it wasn't just that, it was that he was tortured for most of it, and that Alistair offered him the chance to get off of the rack if he would then become the torturer. And he lasted 30 years before he eventually gave in and became the torturer of other souls. So that sucks. So here Dean has been worried about Sam becoming a monster with his demon powers. And he spent 10 years torturing souls in hell. So obviously he's got some feels about what it means to be a monster. But he's fine.
Yeah, he's totally fine.
He's
good.
He's definitely fine and really should be tasked with saving the world.
He's coping exactly as he should be.
Yeah. Yep.
All of this pressure won't lead to any long-term repercussions.
No. I really think that something this important should be on his shoulders. I think in no way is that a problem. You've been listening to part 1 of episode 4 of Supernatural on the Rocks. Stay tuned for part 2, available wherever you get your podcasts. You've been listening to Supernatural on the Rocks, a podcast by OTR Productions. A huge thank you to our sound editor, Adriana, and our podcasts, who secretly run the show. For more episodes, download us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and more at SPN on the Rocks. If you'd like to support the podcast, you can subscribe to our Patreon account at patreon.com/gleeontherocks. Subscribers get ad-free episodes, exclusive mini-episodes deep diving into the fandom, salty opinions, and more. So until next time, this has been The Road That Was.